from a founder perspective, it's very difficult to be here while you just launched, in our case, literally a couple of weeks after, and then having that backlash with all the hard work that was done. And I'm not just talking for myself, I'm talking for many other founders that know who feel exactly the way I feel. But we also understand where people are coming from. And then to our specific retailer target and to the specific team we're working with, I really have to credit them. They reached out after the news.
Welcome to the Brand Brief podcast, where we discuss the latest trends and key strategies that are driving brand growth. This podcast is powered by Brand Method Media Group, and I'm your host, Kelly Kelly. Today's guest is Salwa Petersen, founder and CEO of Chéribé Beauty, a clean salon-grade hair care brand transforming the textured hair category. Drawing from her extensive product development experience with leading beauty brands, Petersen created an innovative line featuring Chébé Complex. This is derived from traditional seeds grown on her organic farm in Chad. Chéribé Beauty combines ancient wisdom with modern science to deliver vegan, cruelty-free solutions for textured hair care. Welcome to the show, Salwa.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much.
So I would love to open this interview by going back to the beginning for you, because you have an incredibly unique journey. Could you walk us through the origin story of your brand and what gap in the beauty market you identified?
So I'm from Chad. My name is Salwa Petersen. Chad is in Central Africa. Chad is known for many things. One of the things is the land of women with extremely long hair, textured hair. And our secret is those seeds that grow in the highland of Chad that we have been using for thousands of years, applying in the length of hair. And we have rituals that we have several times a week that we use. So I grew up with this in rural Chad. And then I went travel the world, ended up at Harvard. I was actually the first person from Chad to ever graduate from Harvard, and then went to work on product development for many big brands, some of the best that you see today on the shelves of retailers all over the world. And I saw nothing like Chébé. And I was like, oh, somebody must do something about it. It's like, that person is me. So in 2017, I dropped everything. And when I say nobody has done anything with it, the trademark Chébé is actually a trademark of my company. That's how people didn't know about this ingredient. And yeah, that's how nobody has literally heard of it. So it took me 4 years of R&D because, again, the ingredient was never used in modern hair care. But more than that, actually, when I went to Chad and started to source the different type of Chébé seeds, when I took them to the lab in Paris, in France, where at the time I was based, we found that there was a specific one that my great-grandmother Chérie, whose name inspired the brand, gave me. And those were 100 times more potent than everything else you were finding there in Chad. And we had very few of those because, unfortunately, in the meantime, my great-grandmother passed. And that's how we end up with a farm. Literally have to plant for plant of those very potent seeds that we had because we had so few of them. So, and then, people ask me sometimes, what did you do after leaving L'Oréal, where I was working? And I'll be like, oh, I have a farm now in Africa, which always sounds crazy. It's like the opening line of a book, out of Africa. That's that. I have a farm in Africa. It's like, yeah, that's what happened to me. And it makes me really happy to be able to bridge that ancient wisdom, of African bush where I grew up together with the best of, very forward science, in our lab in Paris, and bring those two together for textured hair, which is a category that's really never was science forward. And how do we bring that while still having the tried and true Chébé Complex?
That is incredible. I'm kind of well versed in some of the bigger, but I've never heard an origin story like that. That is really amazing and so exciting. And I would imagine that there's just so much personal attachment, clearly a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and a lot of personal attachment. I just want to take a second to say a little bit about the brand name. So, we're talking about Chéribé, and at the beginning you're asking me, how do you pronounce it? And you said it perfectly. So Chéribé, which is really inspired by my great-grandmother name, Chérie, and also the Chébé ingredients, and the chéri, which means in French beloved. So it's really my beloved great grandmother Chéré, whom I really loved so much and who loved me so much. And so Chéré and Chéri, I love my country. So cherished country, we love our customers. So it's our cherished customers. So there's so many ramifications into the name as well.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So I want to talk about retail, mass retail. What was your decision-making process in pursuing Target as a retail partner, and how did you evaluate if this was aligned with your brand's growth trajectory?
Yeah, so when we launched almost 5 years ago, 4 years ago now, we launched with one product, which was the Length Retention Leave-In Conditioner, which is still one of our top seller. And at the time, we were positioned prestige, and for many reasons, including, cost of doing business and all of those. But from the very beginning, I really wanted to have a mass market brand, but I have a business, so I have to figure out the unit economics. It has to work for us, right? So Target was clearly the one that we wanted to be. The reason is it's a mass market, but it's also premium where we can tell our story and also meet our customer where they are. So it took us a little bit of time to get to that place and also have enough product, because originally when we launched, we did have a lot of inbound from retailers, but they were telling us you really need to have more than one product to also have that visibility on shelf. And why Target? Yeah, because they really represented where we wanted to meet our customer. Our core customer is the African American customer, so that's where they go shop. It's premium, it's elevated compared to other mass retailers on the market. So that's why. And I also have to say the individuals that we met at Target were incredible. They were incredibly supportive of us. And the buyer at the time, and our current buyer too, for the textured hair, were both Black women, and they really understood what I was trying to do here. Because one of the things that I didn't mention about the brand is, as I was working on the brand, I realized that a lot of the ingredients, because we have our own proprietary ingredients, and also a lot of formulas were not tested on textured hair, especially the tighter textures almost systematically left out of clinical. So today we are, as far as I know, the only textured hair care brand on mass market shelves that systematically clinically test every single formula. And we were left out of it. I also have, tight texture, and we completely left out of those testing. And we have to pay extra money to be able to recruit, people who we can test on. And sometimes you have to wait for a couple of months because the labs are just unable to find those people who are willing to be volunteers and who have the kind of texture we're looking for.
So speaking about the consumer, which is predominantly African American women, beauty for us, because I am one, beauty for us is incredibly personal, right? How do you maintain your brand's authenticity and connection with your core audience while expanding through mass retail? How do you keep that sort of in sync?
We are first and foremost for us, by us. I know there's a brand that's called like that, but we really are for us, by us. From the very beginning, we have had a certain part of our consumer base who doesn't even have textured hair. But I come because the product work, they deliver incredible results, and people just use them and are happy with it. So we will always be first and foremost for us. We'll be talking to us. But at the end of the day, you have a business, and the idea of a business is you do start with a core customer, but at some point you do expand. And for us, we never forget who we are. I'm from Chad. I'm Central African, very proudly so. And the roots of Chébé are Africans. We are Black. We have textured hair. So this is whatever we like, this is the origin story of a brand. So even though we expand, this is where, that's where we come from. And this is the customer we're here to serve first.
Target's recent shifts in DEI initiatives have sparked significant discussion in the Black community. It was the driving force behind me wanting to connect with Black-owned brands that are in Target and just open a dialogue, because there's a lot of charged conversations happening, but they are, for the most part, one-sided. It's not a lot of the brand owners having an opportunity to shed light into their perspective. So I wanted to ask, how do you approach maintaining alignment between your brand values and retail partnerships during times of change like this, which, as far as I know, are pretty unprecedented?
Yeah, no, it certainly is challenging times. And understandably, the customer who overnight be told, that those retailers are rolling back the DI programs is very upsetting. That's very understandable. But then indeed, as you said, you don't hear a lot from founders. And I did share my story, but this is similar to stories of hundreds of Black founders. You saw the journey from starting this company to launching at retail was almost 7 years, over 7 years. So this is very similar to many of those founders that, for example, for us, in order to get into Target, we didn't go through any DI program. So we went like anybody else. We evaluated with the rest of the brands that were there, whoever owned them. And it is tough. So from a founder perspective, it's very difficult to be here while you just launched, in our case, literally a couple of weeks after, and then having that backlash with all the hard work that was done. And I'm not just talking for myself, I'm talking for many other founders that know who feel exactly the way I feel. But we also understand where people are coming from. And then to our specific retailer Target and to the specific team we're working with, I really have to credit them. They reached out after the news to say, we are here, we're working together, nothing is changing, we'll support with any way that we can. And we met them and they proactively organized those meetings. And once we met them too, they said, any feedback that you have, we take it back to our senior management. So at the end of the day, when you do business, it's also with people. I know those brands like mine or the bigger retailer can really feel like faceless corporation. But what I feel a lot of people are forgetting, it's people behind those, whether it's me as a brand or a retailer. And I know that our buyer, when she reached out, she was as shocked as us of the news and be like, how can we help? We're here to support. And you can really feel a lot of people in the team at Target too. We're also really looking at what do we do now? And we're here to help. So if that makes sense for your question.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
totally. And I had my own emotions about it and I understood, but also as a business owner, you have responsibilities, you have a team, right? So
So you
again,
have a
we're going
team.
back to
Mhm.
people. These are still people that have to, you employ or what have you. So I felt like it was warranted to have more of a rounded discussion around this. So I appreciate your insight on that.
And just
So
on that, yeah, it's people, because as brand founder, you have team member, their livelihood literally depend on you. So, and for me too, we have our farm in Chad and we pay the women who work in Chad 5,000 minimum local wage, which is a lot for us because we want to have European wages and make sure that, those women are able to put their daughters in school. Chad has one of the highest rates of illiteracy in the world. And my dream is not to be just the first person from Chad to ever go to Harvard. I'll be so happy the day hundreds of girls from Chad are going to Harvard. And this is part of the dream, the bigger mission of this brand that we're working on. And all those people are counting on us, on the brand, on sales. That's what we need to, it's great to be on the shelves of Target, but now you need that
gotta move
productivity.
it. Gotta move the
You're gonna move
product.
those bottles. Exactly. So yeah.
So I wanted to get a little more into your brand. Looking at your brand journey, what has been the most unexpected learnings about scaling a beauty brand through major retail partnerships?
What has been the biggest learning? There have been so many. I would say the biggest one for me, because I knew already the world of retail because of the jobs I had before. But what was very different is before I had a team of 10 people, and I'm now doing those 10 jobs myself. I think that was the biggest learning. Then before you know it, you are, the joke is like, I'm chief executive everything, with a great CEO, literally doing
CEE.
everything.
Yeah.
CE, right? So one day I have my hat as COO, and then you have a chief sales officer, and then, you have, I don't know, so many jobs. I think that was the biggest difference. I found myself packing pallets and then now I'm like, okay, if I have to go back to my former jobs, I will go to the warehouse and shake the hand of everybody and thank them for the great job when we launched as insert retailer name and everything was successful, everyone was happy, and we didn't thank them. But now I'll be like, I'll be so grateful because I did your job and it's actually really tough. And I didn't know you did your job well because it was done and the pallets were there on time, right? So I think that was the biggest learning that, yeah, it's a lot, but it's also that you could do a lot with very little. So
You learn about your capacity. I think most any entrepreneur can attest to that. You learn about your capacity because you got to
Mhm.
switch those hats in and out. At the end of the day, you got to get it done, whatever it is. Is not anybody else to pass it off to. You're kind of like the last stop. So it has to be done if there is not anyone there for whatever reason to do it.
Yeah, it's literally your business, right? You have to do it.
It's your
Yeah.
bit. The weight is on you. So you have
Yeah.
to figure it out. Awesome. What advice would you give to other Black founders who are navigating the current climate and making decisions about large retail partnerships?
So the advice I would give to any other founder is to think long term, because obviously it is very stressful now for everyone, seeing the backlash and also getting, as a brand, comments or DM or emails, or in general just seeing whatever is happening with your sales. But just try to think long term, because you know it's a storm and it's just going to weather. And I think that's also one thing I learned as an entrepreneur, is slow and steady wins the race.
Awesome. So what's next for Chéribé Beauty? What do you guys have coming up this year, next year? What's on the horizon?
So the thing for us now is really making sure that our launch and also our launch at targets with whom we have, a long-term partnership is working. And our best-selling product is our hair oil. So I have to tell you a story. I had two hair oil literally left. We cannot keep this thing on shelf. And the two were taken away from me earlier from somebody who begged me to buy them. So I'm so sorry, I can't even show you on video. But
That's
I
a
think
good
the
problem
was
to
able
have
to
though,
send you
right?
some. Yes. So yeah, I don't have any sample of my own hair oil, right? And yeah, so this is our best. So really making sure. So it's made with Chébé Complex and rosemary oil. It could be used two ways on your scalp before, as a pre-poo, and then also as a shine oil that's also strengthening. And it's a fantastic product. People have been loving it. It has been beating all forecasts. So really continuing to do that and
That is,
bringing the gift of Chébé Complex to everyone.
that's incredible. So that's going to wrap today's show. Thank you to our incredible guest, Salwa Petersen, founder and CEO of Chéribé Beauty. We'll have contact information for the brand in the show notes for anyone interested in purchasing product. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. We'll see you in the next episode.